Discover how the Ottoman Empire's Devshirme system created an educational apartheid that gave Christian children elite education, while Muslims were left with basic religious schooling, and how this Ottoman policy became the foundation of every modern state's approach to education. Everyone thinks they know about Ottoman oppression of Christians. But what if the real story is the complete opposite? What if I told you the Ottoman Empire gave Christians better education than Muslims? The Devshirme system took Christian boys from their families. But here's what history books don't tell you. These boys got the empire's best education, while Muslim children were left behind. Muslim children got a madrasa and a Quran. That's it. Meanwhile, Christian boys entered Enderun schools, the most advanced education in the world. Languages, sciences, administration, military strategy. The system was so good that Muslim families would falsely register as Christian during census just to get their sons into Devshirme schools. The oppressed Christians were actually getting better opportunities than the ruling Muslims. Here's the kicker. Every modern government will take your children if you don't provide state-approved education. The Ottoman policy of forced education, it's now the law everywhere. Roxana, a Ukrainian Christian who became Sultan's wife, may have designed Devshirme. Did she use the empire's own resources to elevate Christian children over Muslim ones? The ultimate inside job. This created a vulnerability Russia later exploited. Christian origin administrators and imams became perfect infiltrators. When Ottoman soldiers ordered ammunition, they'd receive soap instead. Logistics sabotage from within. What the Ottomans called Devshirme, we call compulsory education. Different methods, same principle. The state claims authority over children's education and backs it with force. History rhymes. Think the Ottoman Devshirme was bad? Wait until you see what European colonial powers were doing to children at the same time. The contrast will shock you and completely reframe how you understand Ottoman policies versus actual systematic child abuse. We've seen how Ottomans inadvertently gave Christians better education than Muslims. But people are asking, wasn't taking children still wrong? Let's compare it to what was happening everywhere else. While Ottomans were educating Christian boys for elite careers, European powers were implementing something completely different. Let's look at what taking children actually meant in the colonial world. In Australia, they called it breeding out the black. Aboriginal children were taken not for education, but to destroy their race entirely. No elite schools, no career paths, just cultural extinction. The movie Rabbit-Proof Fence shows children desperate to escape back home. Canadian residential schools had one goal: complete cultural destruction. Children were beaten for speaking their languages, sexually abused, and thousands died. We still find mass graves today. Survivors' communities are devastated by addiction and suicide. Today, communities that survived colonial education face addiction crises, astronomical suicide rates, and intergenerational trauma. Entire cultures were systematically destroyed. This was the real goal, not education, but elimination. In European colonies, children became forced laborers and sex slaves. Light-skinned mixed children became indentured servants. There were no schools, no advancement, no choice, just exploitation until death. Ottoman Devshirme boys got the world's best education, became Grand Viziers, and could return home at 18. Many chose to stay because the opportunities were genuine. Others went back and built schools in their villages. Compare that to mass graves. Here's the smoking gun. Where are the Ottoman mass graves? The systematic starvation, the cultural destruction? We find none of it. Instead, we find Christian families trying to get into the system. That tells you everything. Colonial powers wrote the history books. They needed to make their genocide look normal by claiming everyone did it. But the Ottoman system created opportunity, while colonial systems created graveyards. There's no comparison. The real oppression wasn't Christians in Ottoman schools, it was Muslim children being denied those same opportunities. While Europeans destroyed cultures, Ottomans elevated them. The question isn't why Ottomans took Christian children, it's why they didn't educate Muslim ones equally. Now that you understand what real child abuse looked like, let's meet the Devshirme graduates who rose to incredible power, and some who never forgot where they came from. Their stories will blow your mind. Meet the Devshirme graduates who went from rural Christian families to running the Ottoman Empire, and discover their shocking choices when they gained ultimate power. Some stayed loyal, others rebelled, and one literally rebuilt his people's church while serving as Grand Vizier. You've seen how Devshirme created educational apartheid. Now meet the graduates. These men went from Christian villages to literally running the Ottoman Empire. Their choices when they got power will shock you. Over 60 Grand Viziers, the empire's second most powerful position, came from Devshirme. While Muslim-born children got basic education, these Christian boys were literally running the show. The irony is incredible. Taken from Bosnia as a boy, Sokolu Mehmed Pasha became the most powerful Grand Vizier in Ottoman history. He served 3 sultans and was the real ruler for 14 years. But here's the twist. He secretly restored the Serbian Orthodox Church while running a Muslim empire. In 1557, while Grand Vizier, Sokolu secretly restored the Patriarchate of Pek, the spiritual heart of Serbian Orthodoxy. He was simultaneously the most loyal Ottoman servant and a protector of his original faith. Talk about playing both sides. Not everyone stayed loyal. Gjurj Kastrioti, renamed Skender Beg, was Albania's greatest hero. Educated in the Ottoman system, Gjurgi understood the importance of freedom, but perhaps not everything he learned took root. Skenderbeg defected and foolishly led a 25-year rebellion that held off the entire Ottoman army. He used their own military training against them to keep Albania free, like a fish poisoning the water to earn freedom for his kind. These men lived impossible lives, raised as Muslims, educated as Ottomans but born Christian. Some completely abandoned their origins. Others, like Kochi Bey, requested to be buried back in their birth villages. The identity struggle was real. The ultimate test came when these graduates had to conquer Christian territories, sometimes their own homelands. Most did it without hesitation. The Ottoman system had completely transformed their lives and outlook on life. But some graduates became secret networks helping Christian communities. They'd warn of raids, provide information, or mysteriously fail to capture rebels. The Ottoman system accidentally created its own internal resistance. Today's elite universities work the same way. Take kids from diverse backgrounds, give them top education, and they become the ruling class. The difference? Modern systems don't separate you from your family at age 8, unless by that age you haven't been registered for formal education. Then the state will take custody of you until the age of 18. Were these men success stories or victims? They gained incredible power but lost their identities. Some helped their people from within, others completely forgot them. There's no easy answer, just human complexity at its most fascinating. These individual stories reveal something bigger. Certain Christian regions became Ottoman power centers while Muslim areas stayed backwards. How did the conquered end up more influential than the conquerors? That's our next deep dive. Which graduate story shocked you most? Discover how Devshirme transformed entire regions. Former battlefields became breeding grounds for Ottoman Grand Viziers, while traditional Muslim heartlands fell behind. The geographic patterns reveal the system's shocking long-term impact on power distribution. You've met the individual graduates who rose to power, but step back and look at the map. Entire Christian regions became Ottoman power factories, while Muslim heartlands stagnated. The geographic patterns are mind-blowing. Serbia and Albania, regions that fiercely resisted Ottoman conquest, ended up producing more Grand Viziers than traditional Muslim centers like Bursa or Edirne. The areas that fought hardest became the most powerful. How did this happen? Devshirme specifically targeted regions that had resisted conquest. These problem areas became recruitment gold mines. The Ottomans accidentally created a system where your ancestors' rebellion became your descendants' advantage. Once a region produced one Grand Vizier, the floodgates opened. Successful graduates recommended boys from their home villages. Family connections, regional loyalty. It became a self-perpetuating cycle of advancement for specific Christian areas. By the 1500s, Serbian Devshirme graduates held so much power they could openly favor their birth regions. Sokolu Mehmed Pasha didn't just restore one church. With his brother Makariya as the Archbishop of Pech, he rebuilt the entire Serbian Orthodox hierarchy. The conquered were reshaping the empire from within. Meanwhile, in Spain, oppression was shifting from the Moors to the newly converted Moriscos and Conversos, former Jews and Muslims. Albania went from Skenderbeg's 25-year rebellion to becoming an Ottoman administrative powerhouse. Albanian families dominated military and civilian leadership for centuries. The region that caused the most trouble became the most trusted. While Christian regions rose to power, traditional Muslim areas like central Anatolia produced fewer and fewer leaders. The madrasa system couldn't compete with Enderun education. Muslim families watched former enemies' children surpass their own. By 1600, if you wanted power in the Ottoman Empire, you were better off being born in a Christian village in Serbia than a Muslim family in Bursa. The selfless empire had completely inverted its own power structure through education. These empowered regions began reshaping Ottoman culture itself. Architecture, arts, administrative styles. Christian origin leaders brought their aesthetic sensibilities to imperial projects. The empire's identity was being quietly transformed. Look at modern countries. Certain regions dominate politics because they dominate elite education. The American Northeast, Southern England, specific areas in every country. Geography plus education equals lasting power. Which regional power shift surprised you most? Discover how Russia exploited the Devshirme system's legacy to create history's most effective spy network. Ottoman imams and administrators with Christian roots became perfect double agents, sabotaging the empire from within for centuries. You've seen how Christian regions gained power in the Ottoman Empire. Russia noticed too. They turned the Devshirme legacy into the most successful spy network in history, and it was hiding in plain sight. By 1700, the Ottoman Empire was full of administrators and imams whose families had Christian roots. Many still had connections to Orthodox communities. Russia saw the opportunity. These people were already inside the system. Russian agents didn't need to infiltrate, they just had to activate. A grandson of Devshirme graduates, now serving as an imam, gets a visit from someone speaking his grandmother's language. Old loyalties awakened quietly. These weren't foreign spies, they were respected community leaders. Ottoman officials trusted them completely. After all, their families had served the empire for generations. The perfect cover was their actual legitimate positions. The sabotage was brilliant. Ottoman soldiers would requisition ammunition, and Russian-controlled supply officers would send soap instead. Food requests became household goods. Medical supplies turned into decorative items. Logistics warfare at its finest. But sabotage was just the beginning. These agents had access to military plans, troop movements, political discussions. Information flowed from Ottoman war rooms to Russian intelligence faster than official Ottoman communications. When Balkan independence movement started, they had inside help. Ottoman responses were always one step behind because the plans were leaked in advance. Russian-trained agents ensured rebellion succeeded by sabotaging suppression efforts. The network reached every level. Village imams provided local intelligence. Regional administrators leaked provincial plans. Some suspect even Grand Vizier staff were compromised. Russia had turned the Ottoman power structure into its own intelligence service. The ultimate irony, the Devshirme system that created Ottoman power also destroyed it. By elevating Christian origin families, the Ottomans created the vulnerability Russia exploited. The empire's greatest strength became its fatal weakness. Every dominant power does this. They create systems that eventually work against them. America's global influence creates anti-American networks. China's economic reach creates dependencies that can be exploited. History repeats, then it rhymes and repeats. By 1700, the Ottomans finally realized Devshirme was creating vulnerabilities, so they tried to fix it by letting Muslims join the elite corps. This solution backfired catastrophically and accelerated the empire's decline. Sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. You've seen how Russia exploited the Devshirme system. The Ottomans knew they had a problem, so they tried to fix it by including Muslims in elite positions. This decision destroyed their empire faster than any foreign enemy could. For the first time in 300 years, Muslims could join the Janissaries without going through Devshirme. No more Christian monopoly on elite positions. Sounds fair, right? What could go wrong with making the system more inclusive? The fix addressed the dual loyalty vulnerability, but not the problem of the education gap. Skipping the Devshirme system is what destroyed the Janissaries because it lowered the bar in the name of inclusivity. Everything went wrong. Muslim recruits came through family connections, not merit selection. The rigorous Devshirme screening disappeared. Elite education became nepotism. Within decades, the famous Janissary discipline collapsed completely. The new Janissaries became political rebels instead of loyal soldiers. They staged coups, demanded higher pay, refused orders. The force that once conquered Europe was now terrorizing Istanbul. The Ottomans had created their own Praetorian Guard problem. Meanwhile, Christian families stopped wanting Devshirme. Why risk your sons in a corrupted system? The best talent went elsewhere. The empire lost its recruitment pipeline for brilliant administrators just when it needed them most. Government positions became hereditary instead of earned. Sons of officials got jobs regardless of ability. The meritocracy that built the empire died. Incompetent administrators made terrible decisions while real talent was ignored. Without elite Devshirme-trained officers, Ottoman military innovation stagnated. European armies modernized while Janissaries refused new tactics. The technological and strategic advantage that built the empire evaporated. The ultimate irony: Devshirme created Ottoman power through merit-based selection and elite education. The fair reform destroyed it through nepotism and mediocrity. Sometimes inequality of opportunity creates better outcomes than equality of access. Every successful system creates its own enemies. This pattern repeats throughout history. Successful institutions create resentment. Reforms aimed at fairness often destroy effectiveness. The collapse of the Janissaries shows the effectiveness of the Devshirme system in achieving and maintaining excellence. But the Devshirme legacy lives on. European educators studied Enderun methods and created new systems. The educational revolution that started in Istanbul spread worldwide. Have you seen this pattern in modern institutions? The Devshirme system died with the Ottoman Empire, but its educational methods lived on. European educators secretly studied Enderun techniques and created the pedagogical systems we use today. Your child's school probably uses Ottoman-inspired methods without knowing it. The Ottoman educational revolution survived. European educators implemented Enderun methods and created the teaching systems used in your child's school today. The connection will blow your mind. When Sultan Mahmud II destroyed the Janissaries in 1826, Enderun masters fled to Europe. They carried 400 years of advanced educational techniques. European reformers were fascinated by these exotic teaching methods that produced such capable administrators. Enderun wasn't just memorization like European schools. It emphasized hands-on learning, multiple intelligences, character development alongside academics, and merit-based advancement. These were radical concepts in 19th century Europe. Maria Montessori's revolutionary approach mirrors Enderun principles exactly. Child-centered learning, mixed-age classrooms, hands-on materials, self-directed activity. She discovered what Ottomans had perfected centuries earlier. The similarities are too precise to be coincidental. Rudolf Steiner's Waldorf system captures Enderun's other elements: holistic development, arts integration, delayed academics, spiritual dimension. Together, Montessori and Waldorf reconstruct the complete Enderun approach that Europeans had dismantled. Enderun's emphasis on character development became the foundation of modern character education programs. The idea that schools should build moral fiber alongside academics? Pure Ottoman innovation that Europeans adopted wholesale. The Enderun principle of advancement through ability, not birth, became the foundation of modern democratic education. Standardized testing, merit scholarships, academic competition, all trace back to Ottoman educational philosophy. These Ottoman-inspired methods spread globally. Progressive education movements in America, European school reforms, even modern Asian educational approaches, all carry Enderun DNA. The Devshirme system's teaching methods conquered the world academically. The ultimate irony? Western Christian societies now use educational methods developed by an Islamic empire to recruit Christian children. The cultural exchange happens so quietly that most educators don't even know the source. Modern educational research validates Ottoman approaches: multiple intelligences theory, hands-on learning effectiveness, character development importance. 21st century science confirms what 16th century Ottomans discovered through practice. The Devshirme education system that created educational apartheid died centuries ago, but its teaching methods survived and democratized. What started as elite education for a few became quality education for millions. Sometimes the good ideas outlive their flawed implementation. This journey revealed how the oppression of Christians was actually Muslim educational disadvantage, how security fixes destroyed empires, and how foreign methods shaped our schools. History is full of such reversals. What will we discover next? Subscribe and find out.